Time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Hope I get away with it. Oh, da doo-dah day.
Hi there. Welcome to Stupid O'Clock. Joe's not here, and John and I are. Draw
And
your own
we're
conclusions.
expecting Zach tonight because he's been busy with
Yes,
all the Rockets.
I was about to say that.
He was up for like 2 days straight.
I don't doubt it.
And apparently, Starflight or Starship 4, they did the launch today, and it did pretty good, except for melting one of the tail fins. They lost a bunch of thermal tiles on one of the actuated fins, and they had a camera right on it, so you got to see it disintegrate slowly over time. But here's what's funny: it kept working right up until it landed in the ocean.
Hey, it didn't blow up.
And it went in, it did the burn the way it was supposed to. It did the thing, and it as if they simulated as if there was a landing pad, and it landed it, and it just dropped into the ocean pretty as you please. I am wondering if they'll recover that thing.
Don't know.
Because that's the first one that actually completed the mission.
Yeah, that one needs to be in the Smithsonian.
Yeah. It's the only one that can be right now.
You could have the rest of them in there. That'd just be a pile, but
if you want to go get them, they're yours.
Yeah, really. You'll need a metal detector and a dump truck, and a couple of big guys with shovels.
Magnet fishing.
Magnet fishing. Send the Glomar Explorer out after it. Where's Howard Hughes when you really need him?
Strangely enough, that ship is still rolling around. Of course,
yeah,
they've changed it since then, but that ship has been through. It started out as one ship. They switched over to Glomar Explorer. After that was all done, they switched it over to something else. And so on.
Yeah, it's been renamed nowadays.
There is a ship, and I think it's still floating in the Russian Navy. This thing is it's 100 and, if I remember correctly, 28 years old and still in service.
Well, how old?
When it was built back when U-boats were becoming popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the Germans built one like it, and the Russians said, hey, we need one of those. And the interesting thing, it was designed as a recovery and rescue ship. And it was modeled after the German design. It has 2 hulls. It's a catamaran, and all the crane and stuff is in the center for pulling the U-boats up, submarines in cases. And when the Ukrainians sank the Moskva cruiser, in the Black Sea, that's the ship that went out and recovered a bunch of the stuff from it.
Well,
I think it's still afloat. I don't think the Ukrainians have sunk it yet.
It's only a matter of time.
And
all right, I'm
Time and
gonna
minutes.
run. I'm gonna run down the hallway. I'll be right
Oh,
back.
great. Leave me in charge. Who the hell decided I was going to be parental supervision? I mean,
We can have a conversation about that tomorrow night in the other room. Um,
what is the world coming to when they leave me in charge? Anyway, let me see here. See, I had a bunch of stuff that I was going to talk about. Put it on the page. Okay, first off, because it's D-Day, the anniversary of D-Day, for those of you who don't know, June 6th and all that, France is going to gift Mirage 2000 fighter jets to Ukraine. And Ukraine's like, cool. And let me see. And see, what was the other one I wanted to see here? Where's my page? Keeps throwing me on the pages I don't want to be on. Oh, this is interesting. A Navy EA-18G Growler. This is an electronic warfare aircraft based on the F-18 Hornet. It went in, and it's off one of the aircraft carriers, probably Eisenhower, down there off of Yemen. And the Houthi rebels decided they were going to fly a Mi-24 Hind helicopter up to do some whatever. And this fighter, or this electronic warfare plane, which technically doesn't have any anti-aircraft capability, okay, it's designed for going after ground targets and such, fired a HARM anti-radiation missile, and it homed in on the radios on the helicopter and took out the helicopter with a HARM missile, and which is very, very cool. So let me see. Carl, let me see. Go and check on Don and be right back. And then Carl says, thanks to all our veterans. Yes. I wasn't in that one, by the way. I didn't actually storm the beaches at Normandy. That was before my basic training. Now, Dan, on the other hand, I think he was there. He was like writing sci-fi.
I'm the guy that led Custer into the ambush.
Dan was one of the guys that jumped out of the Trojan horse, is what that says.
Well, admittedly, I was playing dice at the time.
What is it? Carl goes, you'd be over 100 times. If you ever hear my Rice Krispies impersonation when I wake up in the morning, you might not doubt it quite as much as you are right now.
Yep. Lindsay's dead.
Beard? I did not grow this beard. This was issued to me. Okay. They said, how old are you? No. Here, hold this. Okay.
It comes free with the arthritis.
Congratulations. Now an AARP member.
Yeah, the age limit for that keeps getting younger and younger every year. Now they're accepting 25-year-olds. Oh.
But we were just talking about, I told them about how France was giving the Mirage 2000s to Ukraine. Then I was also talking about a carrier-based electronic warfare aircraft and EA-8 Growler or EA-18 Growler. Let me see. Let me read that again. Make sure I got it right. An EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft. It's based on the F-18 fighter jet.
Mm-hmm.
Went in, and the Houthi rebels down in the Persian Gulf area sent up a Hind helicopter, Mi-24 Hind attack helicopter. And from the silhouette that they showed, it looks like the Navy version, which, for those of you who don't know the difference, they had two different variants. The Hind A, which is the Navy variant. If you've ever seen the movie Firefox with Clint Eastwood,
yes,
the helicopters that he takes out over the cruiser was, and the Soviet helicopters were supposed to be Hind A helicopters. The Hind A is a four-seater. The Hind D, which is the infantry model, armored model, whatever you want to call it, only has a crew of 2, pilot and gunner. So apparently, I think this, from the silhouette, it looks like a Hind A. I might be wrong because the silhouette ain't that clear. But guy goes in, finds his helicopter flying around, and the only offensive weapon he's got on board his plane is the HARM anti-radiation missiles for taking out SAM sites and such. Well, it turns out the Hind helicopter has radios. This missile can home in on radios. Splash one Hind helicopter. And it's kind of funny. You see all these Navy vets who aren't over there that have never shot anything down in their life. And here's the electronic warfare guy. It's a glorified radio operator, basically, with a kill mark on the side of his helicopter, or on the side of his aircraft in the shape of a helicopter. Talk about walking into the officers' club with a wobble because your cojones are that damn big.
It'd be like Uncle Carl taking down a Hindenburg era blimp with shortwave radio.
So anyway.
Oh, here's Richie.
Hey, Rich, maybe. Come on, Internet, you can do it. Okay, there's Richie. Hi.
Howdy, folks.
Where you been?
Being poked and prodded and all sorts of things, and not in the fun ways.
Medical roulette.
And not in the got abducted by aliens ways either. Had a cyst over here on salivary gland. There's still a small one here, so I get stabbed in the face on the 18th for them to take that out. So I'll get basically a facial version of a colostomy bag for them to have right here to collect drainage and stuff like that because of where it's at and everything else that's involved. So, now getting stabbed in the eye on the regular basis, to save my eyesight, no less. Diabetic changes have caused a weird thing to go on, so now they've got to actually inject something into my eye for all that extra fluid and stuff to desiccate out and become properly formed so that there's not a permanent separation between my macula and my retina, which would cause me to go blind in that eye.
That would not be good.
Well, yeah, I'll just hang out more with my youngest. I mean, my youngest is blind in the right eye. I'd be blind in my left eye. But between the two of us, we'd have a good set of eyes.
You just make sure that you always walk on the correct sides of each other.
Or, it'd be really easy to cosplay as a Cyclops.
Take your daughter to work day. No, that's from Shrek 3, actually.
Yeah. In fact, tonight I just got back from the new storage unit. We need to rent a larger one to store all of our crap while we're waiting to get moved into the new unit. And apparently this one that is 10 foot deeper is almost $40 less a month.
Well,
a couple years ago, someone had fireworks stored in the building that used to be there.
That would explain why it's 10 feet deeper.
Used to be there. But it took them a year before they started rebuilding, and now they've got a really nice temperature controlled building on that cement pad, which is actually a little bit closer to us if we were to, be spry enough to actually hop a fence. We're not spry enough to hop a fence. Even the youngest of us, which should be spry enough to hop a fence, they're just getting over 4 months of having their knee torqued all to hell, so they're not spry enough to hop the fence either. It's been a year of plagues on the Asquith household.
Hopping the fence, okay. Det cord, okay. Just run your line of det cord down the fence, and bang, you're through the fence. Just saying.
I've actually got a good set of snips I can actually get through quickly.
That takes time. Now, an angle grinder can do pretty good too. So wouldn't be. But I haven't tried the electric angle grinders yet. The rechargeable.
I do have a battery powered angle grinder somewhere.
Now, the one that runs on a chainsaw motor, yeah, it'll go through a fence pretty damn skippy.
But it's been a bit. But the good news is within a little over, or right around a month, a little over a month, we should be able to move into the 4-bedroom apartment, which is on a lower level, which means that my knees will stop MFing me as much as they have been.
Good.
It means that Bucky will stop MFing us as much as well, because he's been having issues getting up the stairs. He's a little butterball nowadays.
You realize that's your exercise going out the window right there. Okay, goes climbing up and down the stairs. Okay.
I think he's willing to make that reduction in exertion.
The thing is, without the stairs, I am actually likely to get out and walk more than trying to just get up and down those stairs. So I will actually go for a further distance, because moving this much weight on a level plane, not that bad. On the proper incline, not that bad. On the wrong incline, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the rolling downstairs, on the other hand, is not as much fun. And I almost found that out the other night, because we have this one really stupid dog who likes to hang out in the upstairs hallway right in front of the stairs, because there's a bedroom door, a bathroom door, the stairwell, 2 more bedroom doors, and they're all in this little 4-foot by 8-foot area. And the air in our house flows up the stairs, so there's a nice breeze coming up the stairs. So she likes to hang out right there where all the air is moving around. And I didn't realize she was there. I came out of the bathroom the other night, and I'd already flipped off the light and was closing the door behind me. And I was trying to do it quietly because people were asleep. And she's the little idiot that loves belly rubs. Okay. So every time you walk near her, she rolls over on her back to get a belly rub. This little idiot rolled over on her back toward me while I was walking out of the bathroom in the dark, kicked the hell out of her, and about went head first down the stairwell. So I'm quite certain I'm quite certain I'm not getting to heaven now because of all the profanity-laced dog kicking that I did for like 30 seconds. Get the hell out of the hallway, you stupid bitch. And
so Barry's mama was a stray. So we took her in, and she took to us immediately. But we didn't let the cats in any of the bedrooms. So at night, when she knew someone was in the hall and stuff like that, she'd come barreling down the hall trying to get love. Well, pitch black hallway, gray and black cat. I didn't turn the lights on because, well, I knew that 20 feet by heart because there was nothing in the hall. Didn't bother turning any lights on or anything like that, so that no accidental light bleeding in to wake up Misty or anything like that. And the light switches were like halfway down the hall anyway. So I just would go down and gone back. Got in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and Tiger Lily tried to love me to death. Ended up tripping over her and ended up catching myself just wrong. So for the next couple of weeks, I looked like a little old man on my cane, hunched over because back was hurting so bad I could not straighten out. She's done that to me did that. She can no longer do that to us. She went to her forever home quite a few years ago. I'd be surprised if she's still alive. Maybe not, because she might not have been that old when she had Barry, because Barry's about 8. But yeah. Great cat. Love that cat. That cat loved the hell out of me. It's to get her to stay in the box that we wanted her to have the kittens in, because we actually had her from had. One second. That's your mom's food. Can you go get it? Sorry. Where was I?
Cat
Talking
that
about
got,
Tiger Lily.
yeah.
You had her from an early age.
So we had her before she got pregnant, and she got pregnant with one of the males that we had since they were born. So it's we literally had Barry since conception. Miss Tiger Lily, went ahead and corrupted the poor young clergyman, young Mr. Priest, little black cat with a little white dot right there, so it looked like a priest collar. Yeah. Yeah, we put one of my old shirts in that box so that she would actually go in there and stay in there, and that's where she ended up having the kitten. So we're like, all right, that's an even bigger bonus. We don't have to hunt down the birth site.
Oh, well, if you remember, I put up a new light in the hallway, just basically a night light, but hanging up on the far end of the bookcase because the dog had a bad habit of lying in the darkest part of the hallway, and I wanted to stop tripping over her because there's a steel gate in the way that I could hurt myself on if I did manage to fall down.
Tripping over her, that'd be like running into a knee-high stone wall.
Pretty much, yes. Hell, it seems that Billy No Mates has learned a new trick. And when Lindsay goes after dark and says, "Would you please bring the food bowls for the cats in off the front porch?" And I've been in the house for almost 30, 40 years now. I don't have to turn on lights. And Billy has decided that right in front of the fireplace screen, blending in with the oriental carpet that is there, is the best place for him to stretch out and sleep. I'm not going to trip over him, but I might hurt him. I mean, seriously, I could step on him. But I have gone by and kicked him at least twice now. I'm going, I can't put night lights up every damn where. Y'all going to have to find a safe place to be. Aww.
3D printed Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe.
And why is he blue?
Because that's the color of the plastic.
Mm.
And then,
Do you know why the original Snake
Storm
Eyes
Shadow.
was all black?
Injection molding kind of sucked at that point in time, and
No.
once you go black, you don't go back.
They were about to go bankrupt, and they couldn't afford paint. True story. The company that was it Hasbro or?
Yeah, I believe G.I. Joe. I'm pretty sure they've always been Hasbro.
Okay. When they started making all the figures, he was one of the last ones to come out, and they had the plastic done but they couldn't afford to order paint to paint them, so they just put them out as totally black. So, he's a ninja.
Commando.
Yeah.
At first, he was a commando. It wasn't until after Storm Shadow that he became a ninja as well.
Well, I have limited success to report on the computer upgrade for this week. The RAM has now been shifted from 8 gigabytes to 64. And the cloning of the 240 gigabyte hard drive has been replaced with a 4 terabyte hard drive, but I can't get the partitions right so that I actually have the leftover 3.4 terabytes moved to the right subsector to take advantage of it. Basically, with the move and resize programs that I had, it kept saying, "Oh no, you can't do this with the free version." So I went for a pay version of one of them. I still can't figure out where to move the damn thing. It's got like 4 sections from the old hard drive. One of them says system, one of them says BitLocker, one of them says recovery, and one of them says C drive. I successfully managed to merge it with the one that said C drive, and then it told me that the entire 4 terabytes was totally full. And I'm going, that don't seem right. And there wasn't an undo function, so I pulled out the original hard drive, stuck it back in, recloned the damn thing, and I'm trying to figure out what it's going to take for me to actually be able to remap that drive to where that other 3.4 terabytes is available without turning it into its own separate partition. Because if I do that, I'm still only going to have 30 or 40 gigs left on the original partition for Windows. And the operating system and all the programs that insist on being installed to the C drive instead of somewhere else. So I've got my 10 terabyte drive with some plenty of space on it. I'm thinking strongly of cloning what I've got now into that as an emergency backup, and then trying to get everything moved around in the one in the streaming computer so that I actually get it. I don't know. Hell, nobody I know lives close enough to come over and show me what I'm doing wrong. But I don't feel right about asking people to remote into my computer and take the time it would take to do it for
Too
me.
late, I'm already there. No.
Look, if I wanted something blown up, I'd not hesitate to ask you.
I don't keep a lot of explosives at the house.
It's all right. You can go by the storage shed. Nobody knows where it is.
But I still have the keys to the propane truck. So that's...
In any case, I've got 10 extra gigabytes more than I had before I started this cloning experiment. So it took me all this time to get down to about uh, just under 30 gigs of free space on this 240 um, gig. It's basically just a memory stick that's pretending it's a hard drive. Um, I seem to have time. I mean, seriously, uh, it's been raining so much I can't get anything done in the yard. Uh, my push mower is still in the shop. Of course, they told me it'd take about a week before they could get to it and even find out what parts they might need to order. So it's been almost another week, which I'm going, well, hopefully they're waiting on parts because they haven't called me back. But as soon as they do, I've got to get the backyard mowed. It's either that or I'm going to have to get in there with the riding mower, which means I can't get up to close to the edges of anything, but I can get stuff mowed. Can't get the well house torn down and the new metal one put up because it's raining all the time. It's just everything is on hold, waiting on the weather to straighten up.
I know that feeling.
Well, people have been paying attention to what's been happening to tanks in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, people are taking these little drones, going in with explosives, and literally dropping them down the hatch, that sort of thing. And the United States has, in fact, one of the M1 Abrams that we loaned to or gave to Ukraine got knocked out, and the Russians captured it and displayed it in Red Square because they don't have any of their own tanks that they can display in Red Square. But and ours actually survived getting hit, so they could display it. But they were planning.
They have plenty of tanks. They're fish tanks, but they're tanks.
It's kind of funny. The British named their original armored vehicles tanks to hide the fact that they were armored fighting vehicles, and now the Russians have lost so many armored fighting vehicles they're actually having to drive tanks, like oil tanks and water tanks, through Red Square during the May Day parade. But anyway,
they dare not use a bread truck; they would get mobbed.
The United States had planned on building a newer, heavier version of the M1 Abrams. It's going to be like the M1A2 SEP5, whatever the hell they were going to. But it was going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 74 tons, which, just considering the original Abrams was just over 60, that's adding 10 tons worth of crap to it. But interestingly enough, they're going back to an old design that they're thinking about incorporating with the M1 Abrams. Is back about the time Predator came out and Arnold Schwarzenegger's buddy was running around with the minigun. Okay, that's the 30 caliber version you see in Predator. Now, what I'm going to bring up here. This is the 5.56 millimeter micro gun, which it fires the much smaller ammunition that the M16 and the SAW fire. And it used saw belts for feeding the thing. But what was really interesting about this particular minigun, I don't know if the screen's wide enough, but it's about this big.
Yeah.
It's a micro gun. 6-barrel Gatling gun. Okay. That is, let me see here. I'm going to switch back to, that is the XM214 micro gun. Okay. And what they were going to do is they have actually, back in the day when they were worried about the Soviets building better anti-armor missiles, they were thinking about putting one of those. If you've ever seen the Sea Whiz on the Navy ships
Mm-hmm.
that shoots down incoming aircraft missiles and stuff like that, they were going to build a miniature version of that to put on top of armored vehicles, just for scrubbing missiles and rockets out of the air that were aimed at the tank. The problem was, if somebody threw a 2-liter Coke bottle at the tank, it couldn't tell the difference between an incoming missile and some kid throwing a 2-liter Coke bottle at your tank. So it would basically scrub the kid with the 2-liter Coke bottle and the kid off the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which it might be a good thing, might not. Depends on whether or not you're in the crowd or in the tank. They are now eyeballing that system again. Now, this thing's been in, it was over 20 years ago that this thing was being looked at. They're starting to look at it again just for scrubbing drones out of the air around tanks, which might be a smart damn idea. And the Army's going to a new rifle with a new caliber. Have you heard about this one?
No, I haven't.
There's a new rifle coming out, and it's going to be, I'm trying to remember the caliber. It's got some fancy name, I can't remember. But it's instead of 22 caliber, it's going to be a 27 caliber bullet. And it's going to be you're going to see the rifles go back to the large magazines like the M14s and the FNFALs had in 308. But it's a neck down, sort of. It's sort of a neck down 308 cartridge, but with a smaller bullet with a much higher velocity and better armor penetration. So I want to say it's the XM8. I'll try and find that later here. I think I actually put it on Stupid O'Clock a while back.
It sounds like a refinement of a 227, but larger diameter.
277, I believe, is what it is. But I might be wrong.
No, I meant to say 227, but larger diameter on the projectile.
And they're going to slowly start implementing that, which means that they're going to upgrade or restock all the rifle ammunition, which means they're going to have a lot of 5.56 ammo they can't do anything with, except shoot it.
Army surplus.
No, they probably belted up and put it into point defense systems for the tanks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's millions and millions of rounds of 5.56 ammo would do pretty good at scrubbing a drone out of the air at 500 meters. So,
do a good job scrubbing anything out of anywhere.
Yeah, really. As long as it was within effective range. Yeah, Carl. I made do with a weed eater, but when I was in the trailer park, because my yard was just barely big enough to park a tractor and a plow in. Not that I had a tractor and a plow, but I know the scale of those, so I could judge. I don't think I would have got a zero turn for that. It takes more room to park a zero turn than you got yard to mow.
History aside, everyone. Although I get the feeling later on I am going to catch an earful. Why did you let me be on camera? Because I think you're beautiful.
We all think she's beautiful.
Strike that. I don't think, I know.
Yes. We share your conviction. Let's put it that way. Oh, yeah. I can well relate, Carl. I sometimes think my brother should have run out of money 20 years ago, but somehow he keeps finding more. He still got to replace that bobcat that caught fire and almost burned his house down. He had to jump on a flaming bobcat and drive it backwards out from under his back deck. Yeah. And he never claimed it on the insurance. He said he didn't have it insured.
Out of context, that just sounds like one hell of a war story. So I was riding this flaming bobcat. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Apparently the cat ran into the bedroom as soon as Misty was trying to get out.
Cats do things like that.
The treats are in the laundry room.
Oh, I love Associated Press headline. I love this headline. SpaceX's mega rocket completes its SpaceX's mega rocket completes its first test flight from Texas without exploding.
You got too close to Daddy. Put you on the camera. Deal with it, Bella.
Carl, the best we could tell from what he found from studying the remains, some wiring shorted out, and somehow or another, thank God it was diesel. So it was much harder to set the fuel tank on fire, but eventually it managed it. And it just burned rather than exploding. That's all I know. But he's out $50,000 worth of farm equipment that he didn't have insured. To tell you the truth, the thing was old enough to where insurance probably would have been more expensive to keep paying on than actually just going out and buying another used one.
It was old enough to vote for Truman?
Yeah. Which is a shame because those are fun. Those are fun little toys. I got to play with several of them at the factory. And,
the Army finally started adopting them for various things, and we had one in our unit. We never. It's kind of funny. We're an engineer unit. We never used it for digging, but we did use it for. We took the shovel off the front and put the forklift on the front. Used it for loading pallets on trucks and stuff.
Basically, you steer it with joysticks on the side, not computer style, but big levers.
Ours actually had computer style.
Oh, okay.
It was a fly-by-wire, so to speak.
And you control the scoop and the lift of the scoop and the angle of it using foot pedals. So you had 3 foot pedals across the bottom, and as soon as you got used to it, you could move great big piles of dirt or whatever around in no time, spin it around on a dime, and tear off down to wherever it was you were going to dump stuff out.
So, Zach, what was this about a rocket launch?
Launch and leak? Which one?
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Well, Boeing's got more problems.
You think?
They decided to fly 2 meat bags to the International Space Station, had a helium leak before launch, said it's fine, got to orbit, found 2 more helium leaks, told the astronauts, and I paraphrase, quote, just turn off the valve and go to bed. We'll update you in the morning. And then the astronauts went to bed, didn't sleep, most likely, woke up and said, okay, so what's happening? And they're like, it's fine. We're going to dock to the space station today. Got to 260 meters away from the station, and all but one of the RCS thrusters shut down.
8 thrusters, 7 of them shut down, and they managed to get, 4 of them back up?
4 or 5 of them back, yeah.
4 or 5 of them, yeah.
But they docked, and the crew took their sweet time and finally got on station, and apparently had a whole dance party on station. So that was fun. Boeing then confirmed when I went and took a nap, they have identified now a 4th helium leak since they've docked to the station. So
everyone on the International Space Station is talking like this now.
Right.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they get to bring them home.
What was it? They were supposed to be practicing manual docking or the manual thrusters for the docking anyway, and it wound up that's pretty much the only way they could dock this damn thing to start with. So
Wait a minute. This is a Boeing. What does the manual docking consist of? Hanging out of open doors with a fire extinguisher going.
Well, it is kind of funny because there is a video looking out of the space station towards Starliner when they're about 100 meters off, and all you see is one hand in the window going,
Help!
You don't see anything else. You just see the one hand in the glove, and you're like, it writes itself. It writes itself. But, I mean, they're not dead yet.
So
yeah.
Not yet, but they haven't attempted to take that death trap home.
That was the big Boeing news, is they made it.
Challenge accepted.
They made it to the space station alive. With a door.
With a door. Well, that was the funny part. People started making jokes once they docked. It took them about 2 hours to open the last door. They're like, the one time a Boeing door won't open.
That guy. But
and for the record, I am not the Richard Asplund that is associated with Boeing, so no, not different Richard Asplund.
So in other news,
there was a higher up person at Boeing named Richard Asplund. So
Starship 4 today.
But yeah, Starship decided to work almost completely.
Yeah,
which is insane.
It actually did what it was supposed to do, except for that thing about one of the actuator fins kind of burst into flames and melted.
I'll see if I can pull it. I clipped a whole bunch of stuff, so I'll see if I can grab the fin one, because we slow-moed it because you don't believe that you're watching this in real time.
But to give credit to SpaceX, despite the fact that it was melting all to hell and disintegrating, it actually stayed on the spacecraft and worked. It actually actuated the entire time. So
yeah, I'll play it in slow, and then
what's really cool about this picture is you can actually see the flames inside the
that was the point of breakthrough. That wasn't supposed to happen. And I'll let it keep playing. The funny part is Elon did an interview with Tim Dodd yesterday night in preparation for flight, and it'll probably come out in a couple of weeks once it's cleared by all the lawyers. But Tim got authorized to release a clip this evening. Elon said the biggest fear of the flight was this exact thing happening because they were testing a new protection thing. And then Elon tweeted in response to the clip, well, I knew it was a problem. And I was like, okay. But this plays on, but I'll jump it ahead because you can watch it slowly break away, but still be attached enough that it is flapping. And then it gets more fun about here, where you can start actually seeing inside the structure of the flap. And then there's the heat tile starting to fall off.
Oh, yes, I know. You're tired of being picked up. People attacked your feet with a Dremel today. And Mr. Bucky.
Wait. Yeah, flap's not supposed to look like that. You're not supposed to be able to see the inside of them. But somehow
you're not supposed to see bits and pieces fly off of them either.
Well, if it's made by Boeing. But yeah, it still somehow stayed on, still flapped, and performed a belly flop and then a landing flip maneuver. And both the booster and Starship on camera hovered above the ocean, touched the water, and slowly fell over. And neither one exploded when they fell over either, which was, well, at least not while the cameras ran. Because they both touched it basically at 0 kilometers an hour. They basically.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't just dunk it in instead of actually trying to land it on the water surface like they did, which I can understand why they did, because that's more like what they're going to do on land.
Yeah, they said. Well, Elon had joked about 3 months ago, if in Flight 4 we soft land the booster, Flight 5 we're catching it.
Ooh.
Well, he doubled down on that today when he responded to someone else's X post saying, well, I think we should catch it next time. So apparently that's the directive now, that in, I'm guessing, 4 to 6 weeks when we do this again, they'll try to catch it.
When they catch the Super Heavy and reuse it, I'll be impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're going to take some time.
Carl thought the astronauts were on that. No, that was the other one.
No, yeah, it's okay. We're talking about the one with the door didn't work.
Little thing.
Yeah, the astronauts were on the one with the door that didn't work. Uh-oh.
Yeah, the boss is here now. We got to behave.
I'm just here for a few minutes.
No, he was talking about Don.
Yeah.
We were talking about the real boss.
Yeah. Oh, good night.
Just got home. Good night. Just got home again.
Good night, Donna.
Go ahead and shut the door.
Want this in here?
Yeah, leave that in here. I need all the air I can get. All right.
What, did 3D print you a fan?
Giant's kazoo?
Do what?
It looks like a Giant's kazoo.
Yeah.
That's his biggest fan. Oh.
Oh. But yeah, Zach, I saw that you were showing the video of I can't believe the flap still functioned with the hinge completely gone.
Yeah.
There was still 30% contact.
Yeah, it's I'm pulling up another one here. This is, it was about a 20-25 minute re-entry. No one got time for that, so we time-lapsed it. And it was incredibly stable. And for the fact that maybe 60 seconds of this, 90 seconds of this, we didn't have a footage, and the rest of it we did through plasmic superheating for 20 minutes is absolutely insane. But
that was gorgeous.
Yeah, at that point, they actually had to tell people, no, the video's not paused. It was that stable that there was no rippling for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, did it freeze? And then that happened.
No, I think it's thawing out nicely.
Yeah.
And then the glass cracked.
And then the camera broke, and we didn't get, and then that's where they lost it. It was about 35 kilometers, and then they got it back. And then it flipped.
I mean, look how much of that flap is gone.
And then they all cheered. Yeah. It's a good chunk of, you can still see the edge of it there.
Yeah. Now,
right there.
Did both flaps do that, or just the one?
From what it seems like, one flap did, and there might have been a couple burn points
on the other one
in here during reentry.
But
it seems like everything happened here on one of the joints. So one of the having is, did they lose a tile in here? Because this is supposedly sealed with hot gas. And Elon said the moment that breaks through, you're done. Like there's no recovering from that. So their thought is something might have broken off here because why didn't it happen on the other side if it's coming down perfectly flat? So they're thinking something manufacturer defect or something. The hypothesis, manufacturer defect, missing tile, something allowed it to break through. And once you've had that, then you're done. But someone went and looked at SN10's flight from however many years ago and matched it in time, and it was a perfect flip and land. So somehow it worked.
And if it had been aluminum, it wouldn't have survived that long.
Yeah.
Or carbon fiber.
Or anything. I mean, at one point they were talking about a glass heat shield. Well, we saw how well that worked on the camera lens.
Yeah.
So, the FAA...
Well, the camera lens was probably hit by a chunk of burning steel.
Yeah, probably. Well,
if you've ever done welding, you know what kind of crap flies around when you're welding. So, yeah.
Well, it doesn't take much to break the cameras that are built in there. I mean, just the heat and pressure that they went through would probably be enough.
What was the average temperature when that was actually burning through?
They haven't said, but let me see.
It was upwards of 5,000 degrees.
7,000 up to 7,000 Fahrenheit should have been the peak heating, according to NASA.
That would probably rule out any form of glass known to man being used as a heat shield, because the furnace at the factory was only 2,800 degrees, and that was absolutely molten glass. You had to cool it off to give it a structure.
Yeah. So we'll see. Now that they left, everyone wondered. They restacked it, and there was 2 heat shield tiles clearly missing, and it irked the entire community. Everyone's like, you stacked it, they were missing. You destacked it for 24 hours, and you put it back up, and you still were missing the 2 of them. Well, they addressed it right before launch. They're like, oh, we put 2 temperature sensors just to see what would happen.
Well, you see what happened.
Well,
The temperature sensors didn't have anything to do with the heat shield.
Oh,
yeah, because the 2 missing were down here, and the flap that broke apart was up here. So
okay.
we're curious if they'll ever release the temperatures of this. Elon said on a tweet quickly at some point tonight that they'll continue to refine their custom stainless. Keeping in mind, this ship is basically as thick as this model is the actual ship's thickness, but then it just stands 45 stories tall. So it's 3 millimeters thick at its thinnest, which is probably about 95% of its construction. The weld marks are thicker.
3 millimeters. That's 3 dimes, or 3 American dimes stacked together.
Yeah, so about 7 Canadian ones.
Yeah. I'm glad you went there, because I was about half a step behind you now.
I don't know.
Believe me, if Dawn were here, even Zach wouldn't have had time. John and I were having a...
Go ahead, tell it. Yeah.
John and I were having a discussion about the construction of British canal boats, and he could not believe that the bottom hull is 20 millimeters thick. The uprights on the hull are 10 millimeters above the waterline. Everything below the waterline is 20 millimeters. And it should be the actual cabin area and roof should be 10 millimeters, but sometimes they cheap and do it 5.
Well, 20 millimeters is almost, well, that's 3/4 of an inch.
It's over 3/4 of an inch. It's almost an inch, 20 millimeters.
Yeah.
he was talking about these canal boats having an inch of steel and weighing 40 tons. And I'm like, I've driven Bradley fighting vehicles that didn't have that much steel on them and weighed 40 tons. You know,
Yes, and how many of them have lasted
I'll hear about
180
that.
years in the water, constantly scrubbing against the sand and rocks?
I think you got. I think you got the measurements wrong, but
Hey, I'm just parroting what I'm told from the videos from the people that build the boats.
so
And
I asked him, is that like Canadian steel or American steel? It's like it's 40 tons of Canadian steel. That's like 10 tons American.
those are imperial tons.
Yeah, the imperial tons. Yeah.
Now look it up. I mean,
I may have to look that up before I go to bed tonight. I'd
yeah.
be laying in bed going, there's no way they can be 40 tons. So let's see, what is it? SpaceX put up some more satellites. What is it? Last week, the Russians put a cargo module up to the International Space Station.
Yeah, like cargo resupply last week. SpaceX puts Starlinks up every 36
Every week,
48 hours.
What are they up to? 3 a day now?
Last month was the first month that they did 14 missions in 1 month. So an average of like 3.5 a week, which is insane.
You realize SpaceX last month put up more rockets in 1 month than NASA did in its first 10 years of existence.
It launched more than Russia and China did 10 years ago, even roughly in a month. So, and they're just spooling faster.
Didn't Elon say earlier this week that last year SpaceX put 90% in orbit?
It was like 90% of the launches and like 93% of the payload capacity or something. And he said that number is going to get close to like 98 in the next couple of years. When Starship flies, it's going to be 99 point something. Because they only have to launch a few Starships, and the only rocket that would be on the market that could compete with it would be the Long March 4 or 5. China's
That's
big
the
one.
Chinese one.
Yeah, that's the one that they crash down random places, and we get to play booster bingo to see if it's going to hit
the boosters land on schools and villages and
exactly.
stuff.
So, looking ahead, Falcon Heavy comes up in 2 weeks, so that's always fun.
What are they launching on Falcon Heavy?
Yeah, so
no, what are they launching on it?
Goes You, a new weather satellite.
All right.
Is it going to go fully expendable, or are they bringing them back to? Because I want to see a double drone ship landing.
Double landing zone, center core expended. All 3 boosters are new.
How many boosters have they decommissioned so far? Do we know?
Well, this one's the oldest, the highest serial number would be so far that will fly in 2 weeks will be this one, which is booster 1087. And they've been using that counting structure, I believe, since the first Falcon 9.
Have they decommissioned any of them? Have they taken any offline and cut them up or something?
There's 3 or 4 in museums now. And then there's 1 outside Hawthorne. And then most of the time when they're done with one, they put it on an expendable mission. So then they just shoot it out to space and forget about it.
Get one more squeak out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've now got 2 or 3 that have flown 20 times each.
Yep.
So I think the 21st is coming up in the next.
What was did they set a number, or are they just saying, no, it's still good, send it again?
Well, Elon said 100 4 years ago, and everyone laughed. And they said, okay, we'll certify it for 1. Then they certified it for 3, then 5, then 10, then 20. They've now recertified them for up to 40. And Elon's like, do you want to just add the 0 yet? Like, if you don't challenge me, it was going to work. So right now they're up to 40, which is double what they're going now. Most of the time at that point, they're just going to fly an expendable mission. Because the thing that is not clear and no one's been able to get a straight answer on is the 21 flights is not the same 9 engines. But we don't get a clear clarification on when they change out engines. They don't tell us. So it's the booster shell, the body of it.
I imagine they evaluate the engines after each launch, and if it needs a change out, they'll do a change out.
One engine is equal to the same price as the rest of a Falcon 9 booster. So the recovery of the 9 engines is far more important than the booster, which is why they recovered a few of them off the one that fell over on the drone ship a couple of months ago, and they're talking about reflying even a few of those ones, even though it fell over and dented. Like 4 of them exploded the top of the booster off. A couple of the engines are technically fine.
Sideways of that, what is the list price for a Tesla truck now?
Well, what do you want on it?
I don't know what's on the one that I saw for sale used.
So
Wait, someone's already selling a Cybertruck used?
Mm-hmm.
They range from 82 to 102K, depending on trim options. The rear wheel only version is supposed to come on the market later this year, starting at 63. But I also know they go more than that.
This was...
so if I hadn't paid off my debt, I could have actually bought that with my dad's pay.
Wait a minute. Why would an electric truck be rear wheel only?
Household driving.
To save money on parts.
All I know is one of our team has one, and it's really cool.
The one that I saw just today listed in the marketplace was $125,000.
Yeah,
and I did not check to see whether it was low mileage or what was on it or whatever. I'm just going, yeah,
needs a new battery.
I could afford that, but
yeah, I just pulled up their website. A rear-wheel drive with 250-mile range is $60,900 right now with 2025 delivery. An all-wheel drive with 340-mile range is $79,900, and the Cyber Beast with 320-mile range is $99,900.
Go over those ranges again between the 2-wheel drive and the 4-wheel drive.
250 and 340.
So the 2-wheel drive gets 250 miles.
Yeah.
And the 4-wheel drive gets 350 miles.
Yeah.
They've got the same battery though, right?
Probably different. Rear-wheel drive only. The only other stat on real here. Why am I not just screen sharing?
See, the only sense it makes to have a 2-wheel drive version is that because you've only got 2 electric motors, you're only using half the electricity, so you can go twice as far. Okay, that
doesn't seem to be the case.
There's the 3 options for base models, and then there's all the accessories and stuff that you can get,
like seats and a steering wheel and
tires and like a chassis.
Well, it depends on the tires. If you want the tire covers, those do cost more because the guy on our team that has one does not have his tire covers yet. They're on back order.
Their tire covers suck any damn way. So,
but they look cool.
I thought that there was somebody here in town. I mean, I was going somewhere and it's like I passed them going down 153 the other way. I get out to East Ridge and there they go again. It's like, how the hell? Come to find out, there's 5 of them here in town.
Yeah, they've been delivering them really fast starting this year.
Now, if you want to make $1 billion really quick, okay, start a company that makes batteries to replace the batteries on Tesla equipment. so that when a Tesla battery goes out, and instead of paying $34,000 to Tesla to get the battery replaced, you can come to this other company that you built that will replace the battery for 10,000, and you may just
The only problem is the computer. There's
Won't work.
chips in the battery, in the Tesla batteries, that if you don't put a Tesla battery in, the computer shuts down.
I can fix that.
It's part of the safety protocol for the automated driving, which that's the one thing the Cybertruck does not have, does not have the full self-driving yet. Even though it's the same brain as all the other Teslas, they say they do not have enough information from Cybertruck testing for the scale of the vehicle to be able to activate it yet on the road. The dangerous thing looking at the Tesla website is I want the Cyber Beast truck, which is $100,000 US, but it's only a $250 deposit today. So that's how they do it. Tesla at one point had rumored that they had over 100,000 Tesla's Cybertrucks pre-ordered within the first couple of months of the announcement. So they send you an email being like, so are you ready to actually purchase? And then yes, or step out of line, and then you can step back in when you're ready. So, but they're cool. They're neat vehicles. I haven't seen one in person yet, but they're popping up all over the States really fast. Way faster than I think most people thought.
I haven't seen one in person yet. I would still love to have one. I just would rather live another 50 or 60 years and buy food than have a truck and have to die in 5 years because I don't have any more damn money.
I'm interested to see how the resale market on them goes in the next 5 to 6 years, because people are reselling, or not reselling, people are selling their 2018 Tesla Model 3s and stuff because they want the newer Model 3 because it's been improved so much over the years. But you can get a Model 3 now for, depending where you buy it, $15,000 to $20,000, and unless you're taking it to the track to test it 0 to 60, or you know that 250-mile range limit or whatever it is a limitation for you, it works great, and it works just as if it's brand new.
Which one has the plaid?
Either X or Y. It's the SUV one.
Well, the plaids have been banned at drag strips if they're not running stock tires.
Yeah. Model S is the one with the plaid.
The Model S. The reason being, if you change the tires to a better traction tire, they run in the range that requires roll cages.
Yeah. Yeah. They're a lot. Well, I know when they were starting then they did the delivery event for Cybertruck. They were showing it against, I think it was a Ford, one of the big Fords or something, or big Dodge one. And they showed it on a kind of a drag strip, and they showed the Dodge running, and then the camera pans out and you see Cybertruck just drive past it, with no chance in the other one catching up. And you're like, oh, it's fast, it's going to win. And then Cybertruck keeps going, and then it's pulling a trailer, pulling one of the other trucks at the same time. And it was just oh, I think it was a truck. It might have been a car, but it was just okay. So it's fast and it can haul. Okay, we get it.
It's hauling lots of things.
I thought it was a Porsche.
It was a Porsche. You're right. They did one with a truck as well, but they released the Porsche one.
He was racing a Porsche. The truck was racing a Porsche, and Porsche takes off, shoots. Here comes a Cybertruck. And as it passes it, it's got the same model car, same color and everything on the trailer, pulling away.
And that Porsche on the trailer beat the other one still. Fast as a Porsche has ever gone. But it's an impressive vehicle. I think all the other Teslas, the price will come down. The big question is, how do the batteries get replaced? That's, with any electric vehicle, that's the big question at this point.
And just don't run it through the car wash.
Well, no, you can. You just have to turn it off first. Then you let it dry out a little.
I
Put it
saw
in rice.
Rich look around like, what?
Just put it in some rice.
There's no weatherproofing on it.
No, there is.
It just doesn't work. Or rather, it works like the fins on the starship. Trying to sudden leaks at high pressures, like a garden hose or something. Um,
I'm just
When
waiting.
I ask for stupid or hurt, I mean the stupid people, not me.
I'm just waiting for the pictures to show up of some tug dragging the half melted starship into
I'm
port
monitoring Go America. It is supposed to pull into the port of Brownsville in about an hour.
Do what?
The ship Go America is the one that went out to the booster point.
Yeah.
And it's due back in the gateway of the point of the port, the entry jetty, in just over an hour.
Did they sink it or are they dragging it back?
No one has said anything. One person rented a plane or a helicopter or both and went out. We have not seen any photos. So everyone's eagerly awaiting to see what happens. How softly it splashed. If they got out to it fast enough, it would not have been hard to throw a couple hooks on those grid fins and pull it in. But
where did it land?
That I can't answer.
No, I'm talking about Starship.
Yeah.
Oh,
A Russian trawler hitched to it somewhere.
oh, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't a couple Russian subs.
That got smacked.
You're in a Russian sub and you hear it land, and all of a sudden, I wonder where it landed. About then you hear bang, 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 bang down the side of the hall.
Dive.
it's a little late. Sink.
Up.
This was.
You're sitting there in the sub, and suddenly the sub decreases in depth drastically. It's like, what the hell's going on here?
Booster bingo share. This will be the
North
easiest
Korea's
way
out there
for-
with a couple fishing boats.
Oh, Rich,
trying to drag
I'm
it
glad
back.
you're here. I got something to show you. You get something special at Hallowcon this year.
Oh no!
Let me get it out.
Nice. I saw the blue and white prototype that you did.
Yeah.
That's very, very nice.
And it doubles as a keychain after the convention.
Tire screen one. Let's try that way. There we go.
Okay.
Didn't somebody get long range video of it?
SpaceX did. SpaceX got video of the second stage from Florida while in orbit.
That looks like a Starfleet battles map. I mean, you got the B-10 over there and the B-9 over there.
So the red X is the approximate location of a landing. SpaceX hasn't given coordinates. But
Relative to what? I mean, is that, Lake Michigan or the Indian Ocean? I mean, it's
there's the launch site there, and then the build site's here. So this is about from the edge of the land here to basically this junction is 2 miles.
okay. So where it says what is it, S24B7, that's where
that was where the first one that they lost full control of, and it kind of tore itself and exploded itself.
B10 is what?
That was Booster 10. That was the last flight.
Okay.
Where it
So
tried to
that's where Booster 9 landed. Where did Starship land?
the Indian Ocean on the other side of the planet.
Did it by any chance hit a 777 when it went in? Just out of curiosity.
The one that was just floating around
Because
innocently.
we might solve two problems with one Starship.
So the red is the the return zone, and the green is the launch exclusion zone.
Ah, okay.
So
So
that's
basically,
why there was,
the red is don't be here when it lands. The green is don't be here when it launches.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
which is why there's a
This
lot
is
of concerns with
So
S24.
I will be back probably not for the end of this show, but probably for some time during Last Man Standing. So I shall return.
All
Gotta
right.
go spend some time with the wife before she goes to bed. Otherwise, she'd be very, very cranky by the time I finally roll in bed.
Can't have that.
Uh-oh.
No, not if I want to have a happy life.
Mm.
To quote one of my favorite rap bands, he did it all for the nookie. The nookie. The nookie.
Who doesn't?
All right.
Oh.
Okay, Zach. I was going to say, where did the starship land?
I'll see if I can get a map of that.
Did they aim for Point Nemo?
No, they aimed for
Oh,
basically
Indian Ocean. Point Nemo is way over on the other
Oh,
side.
yeah. Point Nemo's the middle of the Pacific. Yeah.
Well, it's not actually in the middle, but it just happens to be 1,200 miles away from any people. So, unless they're on a boat.
And, except for this one Russian trawler.
And if you're cruising around Point Nemo in your boat during a launch, okay, it's your ass. Okay, you just that's
This was from Flight 3. Flight 4 was nearly identical.
I didn't touch it.
But that white box area was where they were hoping to land within.
Okay. Okay, Zach, you want to hear the funny part? I'm over here with my mouse trying to click on that and turn the globe so we can see Australia a little bit.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why they took a picture from this angle, but Flight 3 ended up coming down.
Now, on the
Or
bright side,
here.
that is fairly close to Australia, so I imagine that the Chinese, the North Koreans, the Russians, and the Iranians would have trouble getting to it in a hurry. So, not that any of those four scenario players aren't possible for being in that area, but yeah.
Yeah, but 2 Aussies and a John boat are out there towing it to Australia right now.
And then they'll sell it back to Elon.
No, they'll turn it into a beer keg. Okay.
But yeah, it
Can
should have
openers.
been. I mean, for how well it went, it should be basically at the end of the orange line. I think the thing that surprised me and a lot of our team when we were live with it is that re-entry lasted like 25 minutes. This thing, when you were watching it, its speed and altitude didn't change for the first probably 10 to 15 minutes where it had plasma on it. It just surfed the atmosphere. And then at some point had enough that it was like, okay, I'm going to come in now.
Yeah, I imagine because of the wings that it can do that.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't have much of a wing, but it's enough for surfing.
Yeah. Because that was impressive. Because normally plasma is 5 to 7 minutes when a vehicle's coming home, because that's the blackout period.
Surf's
But
up,
then,
dude. Okay,
yeah, but then this was like 23 roughly, except for the last bit of the belly flop.
Well, if that's the case, that means had they come in a little quicker, it would have probably made it all the way down. Well, it made it all the way down, but probably not as much damage.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see if it would have gone.
I
Because
imagine
they didn't do a deorbit burn.
I imagine they kept it in the upper atmosphere heating up longer so the temperature sensors could figure out where the hot spots were on it.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, makes sense.
It's kind of like when you put your soup on to simmer, you don't really want it to boil, because you'll burn the stuff in the bottom of the pot. So
this will be a better image for you because it has Australia. This is actually Flight 4.
Woo-hoo.
So that was someone who got the coordinates from the FAA or FCC license or the flight restriction, and put each plot in. So
Wouldn't it be funny if, because of this rocket flying through here, they actually find MH370? Just 'cause all the boats are out there watching this thing.
that's a ways out there. One of the questions I have is, when are they going to bring it back to Hawaii? Because Flight 1 was Hawaii, and then I think Flight 2 was Hawaii, and then 3 and 4 they've changed it to the Indian Ocean.
I think that has something to do with the seasons. This is the off season for that part of the world because it's in the southern hemisphere. It's winter down there, so you don't have fishing boats and recreational boaters and stuff like that. When it's winter in the northern hemisphere, they'll probably start landing in Hawaii because you don't get as many cruise ships out there.
Well, didn't Elon say one of the reasons they're not coming all the way back to the Gulf of Mexico is they don't want to rain pieces of Starship on Mexico?
Yeah, they won't. Well, it wouldn't be just Mexico. It would fly over. I'm trying to think actually if I can find. I'll see if I can find the flight plan on the path it would take over, because it would pass over a bunch of the U.S. too. So they're not going to bring it back to Starbase until they're absolutely certain.
It would probably fly fairly close to San Diego, and North American Defense Command is probably a bit concerned about stuff dropping in on San Diego.
Yeah, so, just a little bit.
And of course, they don't want it going anywhere near Vandenberg. They probably don't want it flying over Pearl Harbor. And
it would fly north of Hawaii.
Oh, John, did you mention what today was?
A what? Yes, I did. Actually, we talked about it earlier. The D-Day. What we're talking about, Joe wasn't here, so I'll recap really quick. France has decided they're going to give Ukraine a bunch of Mirage 2000 jet fighters to help in their war against fascist Russia. And they decided to announce that today because it is, in fact, the anniversary of D-Day. Let's see. Oh, the other one, Joe might like this. An electronic warfare EA-18 Growler was flying around Yemen doing looking for missile launchers, stuff like that. When the Yemeni rebels launched a Mi-24 helicopter, a Hind helicopter, which is a tactical ship. Right. Well, the E-8 Growler isn't really an offensive weapon. It's designed for electronic warfare, but it does carry harm anti-radiation missiles for shooting at radar sites and stuff like that. But it can also pick up radios. So they fired one at this Hind D, and it locked in on the Hind's radio. And so now there's an E-8 Growler that has a silhouette on the side of the aircraft of a Hind D or a Hind helicopter. They didn't say whether it was an A or a D. So I think from the silhouette, it looks like an A, but I could be wrong. So.
Yeah, I still say we need to just give them 3 A-10s and let them turn them loose.
Nope. Quote my favorite Muppets. Nope. They need to fly about 8 B-52s across the country and just carpet bomb everything where the rebels have been hanging out. So just to let them know we don't like them.
No, I'm talking about into Ukraine.
Oh, no, that Ukraine. We just need to give more weapons.
Yemen. Yeah, just send the fleet loaded with 500s and
let the Air Force get in on it. The Navy's been having fun. It's. We really want to scare them. We'll unleash the Canadians.
Don't threaten us.
Oh, yeah. Hey, it's a world war when the Canadians get involved. Okay.
Well, Zach, you probably didn't see that video I posted. The guy that does the face voiceovers of the fighters and the jets and America?
Don't think so.
He goes, "Uh-oh. Canadians are dealing with some unrest. Are you okay up there, buddy?" You know Russia's causing all this. Alaska, we need a mile-wide clear strip all the way to the Bering Sea. And Britain goes, "America, what are you doing? You don't no. What? England, just shut up and listen.
Yes.
Load up hockey pucks, hockey jerseys, and maple syrup. Palletize them and have them ready to drop when we say go. Where are we going? Moscow." And he goes, "Oh, I get where you're going with this now." He says, "They'll be back at the hockey."
It's like the Alaskan air defense system is just going to do this and let Canada head straight for Moscow. It's just unleash the Canadians.
Well, you threaten our hockey, we'll come for you. As I point out, this was last week. Our hockey team was a 6-hour flight away. This is a sold-out arena to watch the game in the arena with nothing on the ice. We take our hockey very seriously.
Hello, Michaela.
Hey, Michaela.
How come
All
Dawn
right,
isn't
guys,
in here?
I'm
Where's
gonna
Dawn that she's not on the show?
Ted wanted to go to bed.
Oh.
Because Dawn forgot it was show night and was not set up and in here with us. And he wanted to go to bed. So,
All right. Well, Donna's wanting me to come to bed, so I'm gonna get out of here, guys.
okay.
I'm gonna do what she wants me to do. I'm not gonna argue with her.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a first.
Yes,
Yeah.
mistress.
Hey, Chris, I'm cutting out. We'll talk to you later. Good night,
Hey,
y'all.
Chris.
Good night.
Yes, I want to leave the studio. Damn it!
Not in stream. Not in.
I was going to say, this is when he pushes the wrong button. Done that a couple of times.
No. If you ever wanted to send a clear signal that we are no longer putting up with any bullshit, you send Scotland to the Ukraine and to Yemen. As soon as they hear bagpipes, they're gonna know they done seen a bad day.
I will see your Scotland and raise you a Mexico. Because when Mexico volunteers to help, you know somebody done screwed up. Okay. What was it? No. Russia is sending a fleet to Cuba. They're going to be doing naval exercises in the Caribbean. And apparently this is their way of threatening the United States. Like we didn't teach them we aren't scared of any of their crap in the Caribbean back in '64, but that's but they're going to bring their ships down to Cuba to try and intimidate the United States. And Mexico said, "Need some help?" Because Mexico's like, "Hey, this is our back porch. We might get involved in this."
We're running out of drug lords. We'd be glad to have some more military exercises now.
When Guatemala offers to go up against a Russian cruiser, you know you done screwed up. So, but Belize has a navy? What the hell? Row faster. There's a Russian cruiser ahead.
Yep. Lied about the size of their boat, made me do the rowing.
Now, if Russia pisses off the Ethiopian pirates and a bunch of little motorboats try to, board their, missile corvettes or whatever the hell they've got, then you pretty much pissed off the whole planet. there's that old joke about everyone says that Hitler was paranoid. And it's like, well, half the planet was trying to kill him. It's not exactly paranoia if everybody wants you dead. So. All right. Let me see what's Israel. Ooh, Israel's still blowing up infrastructure in Gaza. Apparently, they've claimed that a school was a Hamas facility based at a school in Gaza, so they blew it up. Which, no offense, Hamas is notorious for
using hospitals and schools.
Yeah, they had a weapons bunker in a hospital for storing weapons and stuff, and said, "Oh, we can put the weapons here because Israel won't bomb it."
Guess what?
According to the law of war, you're not supposed to bomb hospitals because of that. But according to the law of war, you're also not supposed to put weapons in a hospital. So, Zach, we can't hear you, bud.
And they roof knock it first, though.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like about Israel. If they drop a little rocket on top of your building, they will give you 15 minutes to leave.
And outside, we're coming. Yeah.
Knock, knock. Okay, guys, we're going to the movie theater.
Yeah, they at least they try to make an effort to avoid as much casualties as possible.
Everyone keeps knocking Israel because they keep bombing, civilian targets, and it's like, quit shooting at Israel, dumbass. It's not like they went into Palestine and pulled 1,000 of your people out and shot them and killed them and held them hostage and such.
Can't we just have peace in the world? Just happy peace.
Yeah, peace in the world. But.
And I believe in world peace.
Me personally, anytime an organization resorts to terror the way that Hamas has, you really need to chase them to every corner of the planet and just, murder, death, kill them. And their families. Just because you don't want any revenge coming back. And, find their kindergarten teacher, kill her too. And
no, what? No. That escalated very quickly.
No, I did not go to the doctor that delivered them. Okay, midwives, the whole 9 yards. Just
oh my,
okay. They had Fisher-Price toys as a kid. Go back and kill everyone that ever worked at Fisher-Price. That's a little extreme. But,
I would agree that's extreme, but
effective. Because everybody at Hasbro's like, did you see what the fuck they did to Fisher-Price?
Did you? I probably can guess the answer. Have you watched the movie Unfrosted that just came out?
No.
It is a comedy with Melissa McCarthy and a few others. And it's about the battle.
If Melissa McCarthy's in it, it pretty much has to be a comedy.
Yeah. It's the battle of Kellogg and Post to make the Pop-Tart as a comedy. And it's fantastic. Okay. And it's so funny. I'm just imagining now a Hasbro Fisher-Price variation.
Yeah.
I cannot remember
with real little green army man hunting the other down.
I cannot remember the name of the movie, but Channing Tatum's in it, and I think Margot Robbie, if I remember correctly, is in it.
Oh, Barbie.
Huh?
Barbie?
No. This is after that. They hire, I want to say, I might have the name wrong. It might be the wrong actress, but they hire Margot Robbie as a advertising consultant for NASA back in the 60s.
Oh, this it's not out yet. It's coming out in a few weeks.
It looks hilarious.
It looks stupid. It's going to make my job so much harder. I mean, it's not a bad concept, and it's a concept in theory I haven't heard before. And I've talked to a few people in the industry, and everyone's like, that's a new one. And basically, the concept is NASA wasn't sure the moon landing would work. So they hired an advertising marketing agency to build a studio to fake it in case the real one didn't work. And it covers the comedy romanticness of everything that happens in the studio.
My favorite one is where the two guys are walking down the hall and Channing Tatum goes, "Who's that?" "Oh, that's you. He's just more photogenic than you are."
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be good. My question is how they sold it to NASA, because this was down there when they were. This was last summer, I think it was. They were down on site with helicopters flying at 30 feet. They filled the entire press site parking lot and launch control parking lot with cars from the 60s. They brought out all the old NASA vans from the historical center, and the video footage is real,
right?
But from last year rather than from the 60s,
right?
And it was a lot of effort. And my question is, how did NASA approve a fake moon landing movie?
Money.
Well, they need $4 billion to build another SLS. So,
yeah.
Oh, good morning, Mike Jimmy.
Okay. Oh, hey, Jim.
I'm just waiting for it. I'm just waiting for whatever it is he's going to say.
I'm having trouble remembering her name. She's the Vice President of the United States.
Kamala?
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Yes. As Vice President of the United States, she's basically the government's representative for NASA. She's like, for lack of a better term, the person that decides how much money NASA gets.
I can't wait for November.
Exactly.
She doesn't know what a rocket is.
Kamala Harris.
That's part of the joke is no one knows how to say her name. But
you just really start longing for names like Betsy Ross. Okay, that's just next thing you know, you got Tupac Shakur as president of the United States, which would not be a bad thing, really. Just pronouncing his name as President Tupac or President Shakur. I can't pronounce Shakur, but I just don't have the
I long for whoever will write NASA a 5-year, $40 billion financing contract. Whoever that is, got my vote.
The problem is that because it's a presidential election, it's only 4 years. That's basically. I don't know that any one president could give them a budget for more than 4 years.
Congress could. NASA,
like they can do anything. Come on.
That's
have you seen our Congress?
That's the issue. Apparently, they could do it. NASA officially asked for one. I think it was last year or the year before. Bill Nelson walked into the Congress and he said, "China's going to land on the moon before us. We need to start financing NASA through the next election. NASA needs to no longer be an election play point. So we have a new administration come in. That next year, they do a 4 to 5 year amortization bill or funding bill. And so NASA, but also so NASA can plan. NASA literally has put out a website about a month and a half ago that has, I can't remember I think it's 180 programs on it. And they are now asking the public to go vote. And the top few programs get kept and all the other ones get canceled.
Now, we have lotteries in the United States that help fund education. Okay. Our Mega Millions and the Powerball, all the profits from it go to funding education in various states. Okay. If I were Emperor of the United States, and it could happen, if I were Emperor of the United States, I would form several new lotteries.
Mm-hmm.
One of them would be for NASA. You buy a NASA-based lottery ticket, and the proceeds from that go to NASA.
Do you know what you could have done with a 50-50 for Starship today? I mean, the U.S. likes gambling. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this is one thing I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But there were the National Park Service. I would love to see a lottery for them. You like the national parks? Buy national park lottery tickets.
Yeah.
War memorials, especially the big ones like the battleships and the aircraft carriers and destroyers and stuff like that.
They're
I would
expensive.
love to see a lottery for war memorials just to provide extra funding. And some other stuff that goes along with that one too. But and this would be above and beyond their regular budgets.
Yeah.
One of the other things I want to do, anytime Congress can't agree to a budget and the United States government has to shut down for even one day, nobody gets paid and they're no longer allowed to run for re-election. That's their last.
Well, that would never happen.
Yeah, that's their last term in service. If you fail the government,
remove them from office entirely, hold brand new elections. None of the people that ever held the office before are allowed to run.
We'd run out of people.
If the government fails to make a budget, you're done. That's it. That's your last term. You do not. You have just signed your own death warrant as far as running for Congress. Yeah,
and take away their retirement funds.
No. They get to keep that because technically, once you get elected, you earn that. But A, they don't get paid for that year, just like everybody else in the government, and because they didn't make a budget. B, you're no longer eligible for re-election in your current post. That's it. You're done. Everybody, Congress, Senate, and President, if they can't formulate a budget, we're starting over next term.
I never thought I would say this, but I'm a whole lot more ruthless than John.
Vote for me, like Joe Walsh used to say. Joe Walsh had that great song about vote for me that just really hits home. Let's see. I had a 4-point plan. One, secure the southern border. Make it harder for people to just walk across the border. Two, put in several stations along the border similar to the DMV where you bring whatever paperwork you've got, sit down, somebody who speaks your language takes all your information, fingerprints you, you get a physical checkup to make sure you're healthy. They may even take blood samples, DNA, that sort of stuff, depending upon the case. All right. They issue you an ID card as an potential immigrant to the United States. Welcome to the United States. Have fun, spend lots of money, because every time you buy something, you have to show your ID. Okay. So if you go in and pay for something, you show your ID, they type it in, that person's paying taxes at the cash register. If they go back to their own country, of course, just like all the other taxes in the United States, if you visit the United States legally and then leave, you can declare your taxes, you get that money back.
I didn't know the U.S. did that. I know the UK did that.
Everybody does it, as far as I know. But yeah, the United States.
I've never been told of that in the U.S., and I lived there half the year for 7 years.
Really? You should.
I want my taxes.
They didn't tell you to keep your receipts?
Not for the U.S. I've only ever been told that in England.
I got told that from coming back from Germany. Just, if you bought something while you were there, keep the receipts. Not that I bought.
I mean, it makes sense. You're not a resident, so why are you paying the taxes?
Exactly. But once you let them cross the border and they've got their ID card and they're spending money, you keep the taxes. That's the other thing. As I want to get rid of the income tax for the United States, so that you aren't having that money pulled out of your paycheck, and have a national sales tax. And the national sales tax will be variable depending on what you buy. Basic food items and medications, like you have to go to the drugstore to get a prescription medication, no taxes, zero tax. Okay. Then you have your class 1 food items, which are just, Fruit Loop. Instead of getting Raisin Bran, you get Fruit Loops, you have to pay 5% tax.
Too regimented. You've lost the election already.
No, because it gets taken out at the cash register. You don't have to do 1040 forms anymore.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Is you do it all? Oh, okay.
It's all
Yeah.
in the cash register, and then steaks, lobsters, stuff like that, 10% tax. Okay. Caviar and the really expensive food items, 15% tax. And if you want to buy a yacht, a limousine, or a private jet, 20% taxes.
So there's no income tax then.
There's no income tax. So you're getting, if you're in a job that gets $15 an hour, you're taking home the whole $15 an hour. You're not losing 40% of it in income tax. If you're not spending the money at the cash register, you're not paying the taxes. See, now, if you have a job making $15 an hour and they're taking 40% out of it at taxes, you never see that money. You don't have that money to spend. See,
Mm-hmm.
so you're just screwed from the get-go. That keeps the poor people poor. If you do it at the cash register, like they're not buying steak, so they're not getting, they're not paying this level of taxes. They're buying red beans and rice, so they're paying this level of taxes. They're keeping more of their money. And then, of course, you've got all your other taxes, like property taxes, homeowners and people that own property will still pay property taxes. They'll have to do the tax returns.
Right.
The average person who doesn't own property, no more tax returns. So the IRS doesn't have to spend billions of dollars every year processing paperwork.
I just found out that I am eligible to have the school tax for the county taken off of my property tax.
Because you don't have anybody in school.
No, because I am retired. I am above a certain age limit. The trick is you can only do it from January 1st till April to fill out the forms, and you have to do it every year.
That's another problem with taxes in the United States. Too many damn forms, too much paperwork. A, you're having to print the shit. B, you got to make sure it's done correctly. And 3, you got somebody has to read that crap. Okay. If you get rid of the taxes that require forms, you wipe out an entire level of government that you don't have to pay billions of dollars for every year.
And they wind up on unemployment.
No, you put them down there at them border stations, inviting the Mexicans into the country. See, that's just reclassify them. Oh, speaking of which,
Michaela, the property taxes, they're calculated by the county. This is a scam. They go up every year, no matter what. When I first bought the house and the land, my property tax was $330 a year. It is now getting close to $12,000. And all I have done is mow the yard.
Stop mowing, it will go down.
No, it won't. I'll get a fine for
not mowing the yard.
The Joneses.
Now, I've been looking at places in Titusville on the Space Coast, and 2 years ago, average property tax on most of the places I was looking at was like $860, $900 a year. They're now all $3,400. I was like, what? What happened on the Space Coast in the last?
Yeah, no, what the hell is
months?
the government doing to earn this money? Is what I want to know.
They're giving themselves raises.
Am I being forced to buy 50 artillery shells for Ukraine? I mean, what's going on?
Michaela, I'll have to check into it. I don't want to say you're mistaken, because you probably are absolutely correct. I just don't have access to that level of information yet because I haven't bothered to look it up.
You probably have to do the form every year again, though. Still.
Well, I mean, there was a window just when I got to that age hurdle that I could have filled out a 10-year form.
Oh, okay.
And then I would have to fill out another 10-year form. But, you know, I just don't know. If I can manage to get, I'll have to file for it next year. If I can manage to get the school taxes taken off, that will wipe half of my property tax out. I mean,
Okay.
it's basically 50% of that 12,000 is to pay the school board. It doesn't do anything for the school, any of the schools. It
And
just
no
pays
offense,
the school board.
Dan can get with me on this one. When they changed math, they should have quit charging us taxes on that shit. Okay, that's like, you did what? You changed math.
Yeah, the new math. Pi is now equal to 3. Deal with it. It makes it easier to teach.
You know, I was actually looking at that, how they do the new math, how they're teaching kids to do math. And strange enough, that was exactly how I was doing math in my head when I was learning the other method.
Mhm.
You know,
senior exemption, and I can also file for something called a homestead exemption. Yeah. And believe me, with my mom getting up there in age, and it's the family farm is going to be split up between my brother, my sister, and I. That's going to be something we're really going to have to, between the three of us, figure out exactly what to do.
I had to read Zach's little notation underneath his name there. The Starship splashed and Stayliner is leaking again. Stayliner, it's
Stayliner, scrub liner, leak liner.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I gotta get the other channel set up.
We
were talking about the booster earlier. The new hypothesis is the ship that went out to it this afternoon hooked onto it, dragged it to deeper waters, and sunk it. And that they aren't bringing it back into the port, but we'll see.
You think they'd bring it back just to look at the Raptor engines? Jeez, I mean,
that's what I would have thought, or something. But
how did the Raptor engines do? That's how many of them burned out this time? That sort of thing.
Or did any?
Exactly.
One failed during liftoff. Like, it lifted off with 33, and like 2 seconds later, one shut down, and then the rest stayed the whole flight. And then it did the flip around and boost back burn. And during the landing burn, boost back was fine. And then during landing burn, it lost.
Okay. The ones that lost, were they gimbaled or non-gimbaled?
One was gimbaled, one was not.
Okay. Which one failed first? Gimbaled or non-gimbaled?
Non.
Okay.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we're talking about the heavy booster for the Starship. And it has like 33 engines. And some of them
John,
do, some of them don't. So.
It's time to play the outro.
Is it already?
Yep.
Oh, darn, it is. Okay. I'd like to thank everybody who's on the show tonight. Rich for showing up, and Zach, thank you for showing up. We do miss you occasionally. Let's see who else was on. It's just and Joe, thanks for showing up, pal. Yeah, it's like
really.
your show, and we run it, and you just disappear. Yeah, blame your wife for it. Typical.
He just walks through and tells a couple of one-liners and pretends to hit a golf ball and goes on vacation.
You notice he didn't show up until we started showing Starship footage. Okay, just wanted to point that out. Okay.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody's invited over to the party on my channel, starting in a minute.
Go over to that guy's show. Yeah. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Oh, I have slept the surly bonds of earth, and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed, and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled, and soared, and swung, high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along, and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, when never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand, and touched the face of God.
Did not get away with it.